All right, break it up. Break it up. What is this here?
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most bitter and notorious rivalries from the golden age of Hollywood.
There were so many people who profited from them being at each other's throats.
Number 10. Irving Thalberg and Erich Vonstroheim. Before he was the wunderkind of MGM, the early 20-something Irving G. Thalberg was a high-ranking producer at Universal Studios. One of his most controversial actions there changed the film industry and was the climax of a feud with actor-director Erich Vonstroheim.
Thalberg wanted Vonstroheim to very carefully note that there were to be no added scenes. And I'm sure that Thalberg thought that Von would take that to heart, but he wasn't the type who would.
An early auteur who starred in many of his own films, Vonstroheim was respected, but he was also infamous for movies that went over budget and over long. Thalberg's repeated warnings went mostly ignored if they weren't downright refused. There are even accounts of the two nearly coming to blows in the producer's office.
Vonstroheim decided to take his case to Carl Laemmle, who was in New York. Thalberg had another director on the lot, Rupert Julian. And while Vonstroheim was on a train chugging its way across country, Thalberg put the picture right into production.
During the making of Merry Go Round in 1923, Thalberg stunned everyone by firing Vonstroheim. It was a warning that not even directors were untouchable under the studio system.
When the film was released, Vonstroheim's name was nowhere on the credits, and only a few of his scenes were still in the picture.
Number 9. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello.
What is the fella's name on third base?
What is the fella's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base.
For many years, they were the very image of a successful comedy duo. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello had spirit, charisma, and most of all, they had undeniable chemistry. But things were not always rosy for the pair.
Both performers had started to experience a significant amount of burnout from performing, whether it was because they were sick of performing the same old slapstick routines or because they were sick of being around each other.
Many reasons for their acrimony have been put forward over the years, from Costello's unhappiness with being second billed to a disagreement about a maid. In their later years, the two comedians faced tax problems and were dropped from their contract at Universal. Though they tried to continue the act, it proved impossible. Financial woes, contractual disputes, alcohol use disorder, and personal spats ultimately led the pair to end their partnership.
I told you, you don't say nothing in the story. I do the whole story by myself.
Number 8. Marlon Brando and Frank Sinatra. When the megastar crooner was offered to headline 1955's Guys and Dolls, he had his eyes on the role of Sky Masterson. Instead, Marlon Brando was given the role, while Sinatra was cast as professional gambler Nathan Detroit.
Can I believe my eyes? Is it really you?
How goes your percentage of life, Nathan?
Not bad, not bad. And you?
Healthy at the moment.
Famously used to getting what he wanted, Sinatra was not pleased. He was also reportedly unimpressed with Brando's method acting and naturalistic approach, and often referred to him as Mumbles. Needless to say, the two did not have a warm relationship on set.
Well, thanks, Nathan, but just you alone is not enough. Well, that's right.
Brando reportedly made it so Sinatra had to do a scene where he eats cheesecake for multiple takes. Their feud is said to have culminated in Sinatra having some likely mafia tough guys threaten Brando's life. If anything, it probably served as inspiration for Brando's most famous role.
What can I do? What can I do? What is that nonsense? Ridiculous.
Number 7. Luella Parsons and Hedda Hopper. For decades, the reactionary Hedda Hopper and the grandiose Luella Parsons were locked in a professional rivalry that turned personal more than once.
These two old broads terrorizing everyone and hating each other.
As widely syndicated gossip columnists, scandals such as the controversial release of Citizen Kane and Ingrid Bergman's extramarital affair became their field of battle. They would spend the better part of 20 years trying to outscoop each other.
I didn't go to Luella about my divorce from Philip. No, she came to me. And you confirmed it. And after, I gave you your career back. Box office poison, that's what they called her. until I started promoting her in my column because I felt sorry for her.
Despite their habit of digging up dirt, Hollywood gossip columnists were completely at the disposal of the studio publicity departments. In their long-standing feud, Hopper and Parsons were clawing for job security as much as they were clawing at each other. They left a long trail of tarnished and broken Hollywood stars behind them.
Luella, Parsons, and Hedda Hopper were the be-all and end-all. It's hard today to think that people have that kind of power.
Number 6. Faye Dunaway and Roman Palansky. The star and director of Chinatown are both infamous in Hollywood for wildly different reasons.
It's nothing personal, Mrs. Mulray.
It's very personal. It couldn't be more personal.
Professionally, Roman Palansky is known for his demanding, if not sadistic, methods. Dunaway's complicated history of questionable set behavior doesn't suggest she'd be a good fit for his rigid way of working.
Well, I'm judging only on the basis of one afternoon and an evening, but if this is how you go about your work, I'd say you'd be lucky to get through a whole day.
She described the experience of making Chinatown as humiliating. During one scene, the director was reported to have pulled a hair from her head because it was catching the light. There is also a long-standing rumor that Dunaway was so angry with her director for not letting her use the bathroom that she urinated in a cup and threw it in his face. Years later, the two expressed mutual admiration. Apparently, the movie was worth the headache.
I see you like publicity, Mr. Geddes. Well, you're going to get it.
Number 5. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
We will be just like brothers, you and I. I'm for you.
I'm for me, and I'll love you till I die.
Before they became synonymous with roasts and telethons, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis were a successful comedy act who made the jump to films and television. Soon, they were the highest paid act in the entire business. However, after 16 films and endless tours, Martin grew tired of Lewis's better reviews and their tireless touring schedule.
To forget that he sang and mention only the crazy stuff they did together, that's terrible. And it was unfair. And I said, this is going to explode before too long.
Things came to a head in 1956 during production of their last film, Hollywood or Bust. They would not speak for 2 decades. However, their friendship resumed after Martin surprised Lewis during his annual Muscular Dystrophy Association telethon in 1976.
I think it's about time, don't you?
And thank you.
Yeah, I think it's about time.
Number 4. Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor. Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor met when they were being primed for stardom at MGM.
Well, Elizabeth and I were good friends when we were 17, 18, 19, 20, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, our lives changed because my husband became her husband.
After the death of Taylor's husband, Hollywood producer Mike Todd, she was newly single and decided to pursue a relationship with singer and actor Eddie Fisher. There was just one problem. Eddie Fisher was married to Debbie Reynolds. When the news broke, it blindsided Debbie and became a media frenzy of epic proportions.
This made marriage to my mother awkward. And so he was gone within the week.
Needless to say, their friendship took a major hit. For a decade or so, the former friends didn't speak. Sometime after Elizabeth and Eddie's divorce, they put their feud on ice and ended their feud.
These things happen. You know, best friends should stick together.
Number 3. Orson Welles and William Randolph Hearst. There were few men as powerful as newspaper magnate, film producer, and politician William Randolph Hearst. Considering this, it's fair to say that novice filmmaker Orson Welles was pretty brave to base the corrupt, lonely, and broken tycoon protagonist of Citizen Kane on Hearst himself.
I don't propose to have myself made ridiculous.
When word got out, all mention of the upcoming film was forbidden from Hearst-owned newspapers. But this wasn't nearly enough.
There's no secret to how you attack somebody. You call them a dirty son of a bitch, and if you can't use the word son of a bitch, you put it in something else in the paper.
Hearst used the full force of his publishing empire to smear Welles, who became the subject of targeted libel and vicious rumors, and even a blackmail attempt or two. Apparently, Orson Welles' little movie touched a nerve.
There is only one winner in the story of Citizen Kane, and that's the film, which couldn't be killed.
Number 2. Joan Fontaine and Olivia Dehavland. You'd think the only pair of siblings to ever win Academy Awards for Best Actress would be able to celebrate the achievement together. That was not the case here.
Then the legend is true.
It's absolutely true.
Oh my God.
She never got over it. I talked to a child psychologist about it once, and he said, if it hasn't cured by the time you're 20, it will never change.
Sisters Joan Fontaine and Olivia Dehavland were famously cagey about their lifelong feud. Drama over their respective Oscar wins, as well as lingering childhood resentments over their mother preferring Olivia, seemed to haunt their relationship. They maintained a distant but cool relationship until their mother's death in the late 1970s.
You weren't even notified of her death.
Olivia sent me a telegram, but I was on tour, so it got mailed to me 2 weeks later at my next stop. She didn't bother to find out where I could be reached or to telephone me.
The sisters were said to have never spoken again. Fontaine died in 2013. Dehavland later sued Ryan Murphy at the FX network over the series Feud, which dramatized her comments on their relationship.
So there is no feud between you two?
A feud implies continuing hostile conduct between two parties. I can't remember an instance where I instigated hostile behavior.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Bette Davis and Joan Crawford.
But we're very different kind of women, very different kind of actresses. Yes.
There was no way this one wasn't number 1, right? The TV show about them is literally called Feud. By the time they had made their singular movie together, Joan Crawford and Bette Davis had racked up years of mutual disdain. The set of 1962's Whatever Happened to Baby Jane became the site of their long-awaited battle.
You trying to tell me that she's violent?
Yes. Yes, she is.
Tales of their mischievous and downright hateful behavior to each other during the shoot have since become legendary. How their rivalry started is a mystery, although some cite that it began in the 1930s with Davis's failed attempt to seduce a co-star. This co-star happened to be Crawford's then-fiancé. It could have also been a case of professional rivalry. Regardless, it's a Hollywood feud we'll never forget.
Are you hurt by the memory of that?
I was furious.
Did we cover your favorite classic Hollywood feuds? Tell us in the comments.
Only say good. Joan Crawford is dead. Good.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.